Everyone. In this video, we will see Windows Server 2019 Hybrid and Azure IaaS. So this is going to be the hybrid environment with the Windows Server 2019 as the on-premise and Azure IaaS, which is infrastructure as a service. So we will see the first hands-on lab, which is implementing integration between ADDS and Azure AD. So in the first exercise, we will, preparing Azure AD for the ADDS integration. So in task one, we will, create a custom domain in the Azure. So I have logged into the server, which is Windows 2019, and I have logged into the Azure portal with my subscription. So once you have logged in, you can just go to the search and search for Azure Active Directory, and here you can under the manage, you can just select custom domain names. So from here we can add the custom domain. So click on this add custom domain and enter the custom domain name as the contoso.com and click on add domain. So here we can see the txt record and the alias and the TTL, and we can just use verify. Okay, so this lab doesn't require us to verify the DNS record, so we can just ignore it without verifying it. So we can just close this. In the task 2, we will create a user with the global administrator role. So on the Azure Active Directory, so go to the Azure Active Directory. So click on users. So under all users, there is an option to create a new user. So click on new user. So here we will be creating a user with a global administrator role. So here I'll be giving the username as the admin, and giving the name as well as the admin, and we can set the, let me create the password. So I'll just give this password. So next, under the groups and roles, I'm going to assign the global administrator role. So by default, it is assigned with the user. So I'm just going to select this option. And here I can just search with global administrator. Select this role and click on select. Okay, and then click on create to create this user. Okay, successfully created user. So we can see that we have created a new user with a global administrator role. So in the task 3, we will be resetting the password for the user which we just created as the admin with the global administrator role. Okay, so next I'm going to sign out from my current login and I will be signing in with this new user I have created. So before that, let me just copy this full name. Okay, so I'm just going to sign out. So I'll be use another account and paste the new account which I have created. Click on next and I'll be entering the password which I have set. And now it is asking me to change the password. So I'm just setting up the new password and click on sign in. Okay, so we have logged in with the new account which we have created with the global administrator role. Okay, so in the second exercise, we will prepare the on-premise Active Directory domain services for the Azure AD integration. So in the task 1, let's install the IdFix. So we can just go to the github.com/microsoft/idfix, and from here we can just scroll down and look for click one launch, and using this launch we can just download the IdFix which I have done already. Okay, this is the setup.exe. So I'm going to just install this one. Okay, so we have installed the IdFix, and in the task 2, let's run the IdFix. Okay, so from the IdFix window, we can select the query. So if you look at the top, you can see the first option, query. Okay, so I'm just clicking on yes. So previously all these were blank, and now we can see the options are updated. Okay, so from the IdFix window, click on action and select the edit and click on apply to automatically implement the recommended changes. Are you sure you wish to apply the update value for all the transaction with an action? Note the user assume all risk for inspecting each row marked with an action. Yes. Okay, so next in exercise, we'll just close this IdFix tool. Next exercise 3, where we will be downloading, installing and configuring the Azure AD Connect. So in task 1, first we will install and configure the Azure AD Connect. So I'm in the server 2019. So I'll be going to the Microsoft Edge and search for install Azure AD Connect. So I'm just looking for Microsoft Azure Active Directory Connect. Download Microsoft Azure Active Directory Connect. Okay, click on download. Okay, let's open this Azure AD Connect.msi. I agree the license terms. Click on continue. And in the express setting, use the use express settings. Okay, here I'll be using the global administrator role account which we have created in the exercise 1 and the password. Okay, and click on next. It's verifying whether this account is a global administrator. It's examining the domains. And here enter the Active Directory, Domain Services, Enterprise Administrator account. So this is our on-premise ADDS administrator account. So it should be the Enterprise Administrator. And click on Next. Okay, so we can see the new domain, the custom domain that we have added, which is contoso.com. Since we have not verified, we see that it's not verified. So here we can check this box, continue without matching all UPN suffixes to verified domains, and just click next. So once we click install, it will do the following things, which is install the synchronization engine, configure Azure AD connector, configure the contoso.com connector, and enable the password hash synchronization, and enable the auto upgrade, and configure the synchronization service on this computer. So I'm just hit install. Okay, so it is still configuring. Okay, so now the configuration has been completed. Okay, now we can just click on exit. So since now we have integrated the Azure AD and ADDS, let's verify the integration in the exercise 4. So here in task 1, we will first verify the synchronization in the Azure portal. So we will just verify if the on-premise objects are synced to the Azure AD. I'm just closing this tab. So I have already logged into the Azure portal with the admin account that has the global administrator role. So from here, let me search for Azure Active Directory. And look for Azure AD Connect. Okay, click on Azure AD Connect. So here, provision from Active Directory. Sync status enabled, last sync less than 1 hour ago. Password hash sync enabled. Okay, so let me just click on users. Okay, so now we see, all the users from the on-premise. It has synced to the Azure. So this is the Azure AD where we see all the, objects or the users from the on-premise Active Directory. Okay, so when we begin the directory synchronization every time, so it will, take 15 minutes for the Active Directory objects to, appear in the Azure portal, which is the Azure AD. So let me just go back and click on groups. So we can see there is a group which also synced from the on-premise Active Directory. Okay, so in task 2, we'll verify synchronization in the Synchronization Service Manager. So on the 2019 server, let's click on the start and so we have installed the Azure AD. So Azure AD Connect and select the synchronization service. So in the synchronization service manager, so these were the tasks that we have performed. Full import success. Okay, so just select the connectors and here we see there are two connectors. So the first one, which is the Azure Active Directory, and the second one contoso.com, which is the Active Directory domain services, which is the on-premise. Okay, let's close the synchronization service manager. And in task 3, we'll update user account in the Active Directory. So we can just log into the so we are already 2019 server, and in the server manager I'm just going to open the Active Directory users and computers. Okay, so here expand the contoso.com and expand the sales, and then open the properties for Ben Miller. Go to the organization tab, and for this user I'm going to update the job title as the manager, and click on apply. OK. And in the next task I'm going to create a user account in the Active Directory. So we are already in the AD users and computers, and we are going to create a new user under the sales OU. Okay, so from here I can just right click and click on new user. First name Jordan, type the last name Mitchell, and the user logon name as the Jordan. Click next and set up the password. Click on next. Confirm password, and then click on next and finish. Okay, so we have created the new user account. So we have made two changes. One, we have updated the existing user account, and the second, we have created the new user account. So now we are going to sync both the changes to the Azure AD. So for that, we will just open the PowerShell, type PowerSH and open the PowerShell. Okay, here I'm going to type the following command: start AD sync cycle. So as I mentioned earlier, the directory synchronization would take 15 minutes for the AD object to appear in the Azure portal. Okay, this is success. Okay, in the next task, we will verify the changes that we have made. So I just logged into the Azure portal, open the Azure Active Directory, select the users, and search for Ben Miller. Go to the properties. So we have updated the job title. Let's see if that got reflected. Yes, so we see that the job title has been updated as the manager. And let's go back. Enter all users. Let's search with Jordan, the new user that we have created, Jordan Mitchell. Okay, so this has been synced from the Active Directory on-premise. Okay, so in the next exercise, we'll see, implementing Azure AD integration features in the ADDS. So in task 1, we'll see how to enable self-service password reset in Azure. So I'm in the 2019 server and logged into the Azure portal, and I have opened the Azure Active Directory and select the password reset. Okay, so click on password reset. Get a free premium trial to use this feature. Okay, just click on this one. So we are going to use this, free premium to use this feature. I'm going to activate this. Okay, successfully activated Azure AD Premium P2 trial. Okay, so now I'm going to sign out and sign in back with the administrator. Let me open the Edge. Okay, so once we logged in, just go back to the Azure Active Directory. Go to the password reset. Okay, next in task 2, let's enable the password write back in Azure AD Connect. So let's open the Azure AD Connect. And click on configure. So from here, we can select the customize synchronization option and click on next. So here I'm going to log in with the global administrator account. Okay, and click on next. Okay, so here connect your directories. So we are going to connect the forest contoso.com and directory type is the active directory. So click on next. This is the domain and OU filtering. Just click on next. So here, these are the optional features. So here, password write back is not enabled. So we can just select this to enable it and click on next. Okay, we can just click on configure. So once this password write back is enabled, user from the Azure AD, they will be able to change the password and that will be returned back to the on-premise AD, which is the on-premise Active Directory. Okay, so the configuration has been complete and just click on exit. So in task 3, we'll see how to enable pass-through authentication in the Azure AD Connect. So on the server, just open the Azure AD Connect. Okay, so synchronization is currently in progress. Okay, let's wait. Okay, let's try launching Azure AD Connect. Okay, click on configure. Okay, so under the additional task, let's select the change user sign in. Okay, and click on next. On the connect to Azure AD, let's sign in with the Azure account that has the global administrator role and click on next. Okay, so here under the user sign in, we can select the pass-through authentication. So right now it is set to password hash synchronization. So that means this option allows your users to sign into the cloud using the same password that they use for on-premise. And the pass-through authentication enable Azure AD to authenticate users using your on-premise identity infrastructure. Okay, enable single sign-on. Click on next. So enter the credential for the Contoso administrator. Okay, click on configure. Okay, so the password hash configuration is enabled in addition to your current sign-in method. Okay, click on exit. So in the next task, we'll verify pass-through authentication in Azure. So log into the Azure portal, go to Azure Active Directory and scroll down and select the Azure AD Connect. Okay, so under the user sign in, we can see pass-through authentication enabled. Okay, let's see seamless single sign-on. And here we see our on-premise domain name, which is contoso.com. Okay, go back to the previous page. And let's select the pass-through authentication. Okay, so we see that this server is the authentication agent. Okay, so it recommends that we have at least you have a minimum 3 authentication agent running on your tenant. So right now we could see only one server is running this authentication agent. So to install it on multiple server, we can just log into that server and log into the Azure portal. And from this page, we can download this agent and install it. Okay, in task 5, we'll see install and register the Azure AD password protection, proxy service, and DC agent. So let's open the Microsoft Edge and go to the Azure AD password protection for Windows Server Active Directory. And let's find Azure AD password protection. Okay, Azure AD password protection for Windows Server Active Directory. Click on download. DC agent setup. So it is recommended that the proxy service installation can be, it's recommended to install on a server that doesn't have the domain controller. Let's open this folder. So we have downloaded the proxy setup and a DC agent setup. Let's start the proxy setup. Accept and install. And next we'll install the DC agent. You must restart. Okay, we'll do that later. And let's open the PowerShell. And run this command: get service Azure AD password protection proxy. Okay, we can see that this is running. So to register the proxy service with Azure AD, we can run this following command. So here I'll be providing the admin account that has the global administrator role. And to register the proxy service with on-premise Active Directory, we can run this following command. Okay, so next task, to enable password protection in Azure, let's go to the Azure Active Directory in the Azure portal. And select security. And select the authentication methods. And here select the password protection. Password protection for Windows Server Active Directory. Enforce custom list. In the custom banned password list, we can put the following words, each per line. So the list of banned passwords should be words that are relevant to your organization. Confirm the slide for enable password protection on Windows Server. Yes, so which is already set to yes. And the mode is set to audit. And click on save. Okay, so that's it in this one. So we have seen how to implement the integration between AD, DS and the Azure AD.